Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 94 of the iRock Knits podcast. My name is Cori Eichelberger, and I go by iRock Knits on the internet. iRock is just Cori spelled backwards. And I got a whole lot of stuff going on in the background, and I thought, oh, you should take something down, and I just don't feel like it. So you guys are just going to have to put up with a lot of vibrancy today and striping and things going on. I'll start out right away by telling you what I'm wearing today. This is the iRock the Beach Pontini. It came out in February of 2018. I was fortunate enough to go to the Virginia Beach Yarn Getaway for a number of years. I got to teach classes out there, and it's just great for someone who didn't grow up near the ocean to go to the ocean in the winter is, a really strange experience. It is always warmer than it is here in February, but it was cool. So you kind of needed a little something around your shoulders, and so I designed this. I originally used Queen City Yarns DK, but any DK will do. I probably knit 5 of these. I've gifted a couple. I know that it takes 1 to 2 skeins of the main color, so the body, and then it takes 1 skein of each of the contrast colors depending on what size you made. And then it is not super size inclusive, but there are notes on Ravelry, and all you really need to do is add 1 more panel, just increase the repeat to size it up. I am considering getting this written up as a skirt, and then I would redo the sizes of this as well to make it more size inclusive. It's just loose at the bottom, so it isn't tight fitting. So unless you're really buxom, I don't think it would be too big a stretch to get into the extra large. I mean, I'm fairly buxom, and I have plenty of room in this one, but you can add another if you want it to kind of drape more and fit a little more loosely. If you're broad shouldered, then you might want to add that extra repeat. And I'm happy to help with things like that if you want. So I have just a number of samples up today because I was thinking, oh gosh, I should at least show, other colorways, because sometimes if you're really drawn to this, you absolutely wouldn't be drawn to that, right? So sometimes just seeing it in some other colorways, I know it's shocking, I have gray on, right? But this bone gray color can really add a to the pop of color that you get instead of a cream or a white, but that would work too. So if you've got 3, 4, or 5 random DK weight skeins laying around, you could certainly lay them out on the table and see if you couldn't find something that would work to make this up. It is a fun design. I'll give you some more information. I knit it on a size 7. It comes in adult, small, medium, adult, large, extra large, so 2 sizes. It is circle shaped, crew neck in the round, 1 piece, positive ease, seamless, stripes, top down. You take from the top down and it just gets bigger as you go. So you can really also try it on and see where you want it to end. I always really like mine to end right where my elbow bends. Keeps my hands very free. I could definitely teach in this and move around quite a bit and not feel like it was ever falling off. And if you work in an office or if you're at home in the evenings and you get chilly in your chair, I know that there are several people that just throw this on over their pajamas. So I won't name names, but I do know a couple of people who have said that they just like to wear theirs in the evening. You could certainly do it in 1 color. The chevrons would still show a little bit, so if you wanted to just knit the entire thing in 1 color, that would work too. It's 20 stitches to 4 inches. I don't know if I need to tell you anything else. Anyway, I always have buy 3 get 1 free on my pattern, so if you are out there looking and you want to buy a couple of sock patterns or a couple of hats and then you want to add that to your cart, you can get 1 for free. I do not have a recipe this week. There's too much to talk about, and so I'm going to skip that section. We're going to get right into audiobooks. I forgot to talk about one last time, and that is a book by Naomi Krupitsky, and I just went through and edited the podcast and I was like, you didn't even talk about this one. It might be because I didn't love it. I was really busy when I was listening to it, and so I didn't get into the story as well as I think I could have. It was good, but I think that's why it didn't stick with me. 2 daughters, 2 families, one is inescapable fate. Sophia is a free spirit, loud and untamed. Antonio is thoughtful, ever observing the world around her. Best friends since birth, they live in the shadow of their father's unspoken community, the family. Sunday dinners gather them each week to feast, discuss business, and renew the intoxicating bond born of blood and love. But the disappearance of Antonia's father drives a whisper-thin wedge between the girls as they grow into women, wives, mothers, and leaders. So it's the story kind of a mafia family, but only of these 2 girls and how they grew up and what happened in their lives and how they kind of got through their lives. I did enjoy it. I just couldn't tell you a whole bunch about it afterwards. And that always frustrates me because that means that I was doing things that I probably shouldn't have had the book playing in the background. But yeah, I would recommend it still. The second book I read this week was called Little Princes by Conor Grennan. And this is a story of a man who takes kind of a year off to travel. He's a younger guy and he sells everything, and then he kind of goes on the road and he ends up in Nepal, where the conditions of living are so poor, and he works for a few months in an orphanage as part of his way to live rent-free, and then he does go out and travel a bit, and then he ends up going back, and he's on this journey to find the parents of the children. In Nepal, it was not uncommon for men to come into the villages and for parents to pay these men to take their children to the cities so they'd have a better life, and then the men would dump them in orphanages and the villagers would have no idea. And so they're truly not orphans. They're kids, mostly with parents in remote villages who are small. They don't know where they came from. They don't necessarily even remember their parents' names. And he is on a mission to find these parents. It was really good, very interesting, talking about the country and what it was like to live there and the food and how little they really had. He does meet up with another gentleman who has been working there for a number of years and helping, and they just have these orphanages everywhere where they're just small groups of 12 to 40 kids that are still living in poverty, that are being supported by outsiders. It was really interesting, good to read, sad, definitely sad. It is something that I feel like most people don't know anything about, and with everything going on in the world, it's shocking that we don't know, right? That no one is doing stories on these kids that get taken and put in orphanages. So highly recommend. Then I read A Court of Thorns and Roses. This has been recommended to me for years, and I was like, I don't really do sci-fi. I don't really do fantasy. I'm just not sure. I really liked it. When people tell you, maybe you should take a look around and see what other people are reading and why they're loving it. So this is a whole series of books by Sarah Maas. And so I've now got all 5 or 6 or however many she's done in this series down. But a breathtaking book that blends romance, adventure, and fairy lore into an unforgettable read. While 19-year-old huntress Farah kills a wolf in the woods, a terrifying creature arrives to demand retribution. Dragged to a treacherous, magical land she knows nothing about from legends, Farah discovers that her captor is not only truly a beast, but one of the lethal, immortal fairies who once ruled her world. At least he's not a beast all the time. As she adapts to her new home, her feelings for the fairy Tamlin transform from icy hostility into a fiery passion that burns through every lie she's been told about the beautiful, dangerous world of the Fae. Just a wonderful listen. So very good. I really enjoyed it. How many hours was it? It was a lot. It was a long read. Come on. 16 hours. So it was a big book. But I wanted to listen everywhere I went. And I now have the second book on hold. And it'll be showing up in the next few days, I think. So, Court of Thorns. Those of you who have been telling me for years, you can say, I told you so. It was really good. Then for book club, I read Hidden Valley Road by Robert Kolker. And this is a book about a family, mostly in Colorado, 12 children, and 6 of the sons develop schizophrenia. And so we read it as one of our it's kind of nonfiction, because they do talk a lot about schizophrenia and familial, relationships, but it's also the story of this family. So really easy to read. As it was a narrative, well done. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't something that I was like, oh, I can't wait to listen again. But again, I read things sometimes to learn about the world and the way we live. And it was sad. A lot of these parents were just put through a lot. And with these poor boys that, grew up hearing voices and then became, violent, had to be hospitalized, institutionalized, and they come out. The father works with the Air Force, and so that's why they end up in Colorado. And the oldest is born in 1945, and the youngest is born in 1965. And so it mostly takes place in the mid-70s that they're talking about. 6 of the 10 Galvin boys, one after another, are diagnosed. So, and then it goes through the many years that what they had to deal with and what they had to go through. If you have mental illness in your family, I would highly recommend, reading and learning, and if you know of someone who has schizophrenia, and the developments that we have now made with drugs and people then not wanting to take them because they feel numb and not like themselves. So yeah, it was really, really interesting. Nothing I would have ever chosen by myself would ever have even found, I don't think, to pick for myself. And then I went completely on the other edge. I went to kind of a light read, kind of a murder mystery. It was called The Case of the Missing Servant by Tarquin Hall. This is another series, kind of on the same premise as the ladies' detective agency books. It is based in India, and this one came out in 2009, and I'm not sure we would do some of the stereotypical voices and characterizations that are done in this book now as much. We might be a little more leery to kind of fit people into those niches, but it's funny, it's clever, it's interesting. I didn't figure out who had done it, and it talks about the hierarchy of servants and the working class and the ruling class in India, the wealth as well. But it's just an easy read. It's light. It only took me a couple days to listen to it, and there are several more in the series that I'll probably go back. It was an 8-hour book, and I don't know who recommended that to me, that series, but yeah, I would listen to more of those. I think you get to probably know the main character, the detective, and his mother and the wife, and yeah, all of that. So yeah, I would say that was pretty good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books this week, but one was from the previous week. And I'm already on to the next one. I started a new one yesterday. So, but we're watching the Masters. My husband is a huge Masters watcher. He golfed when he was younger, and doesn't at all anymore, and has really no desire to golf anymore, but he loves watching the Masters. So we watch the Masters. And then last night on TV was the NCAA hockey final championship game. And our alma mater, which is now Minnesota State University, which was Mankato State University, has always been a phenom in hockey, but they have never won, and they lost. And so we watched a bit of that. We were out, and then we came home, and we watched the third period, and it was just a bummer. They were ahead 1-0 when we started watching, and they lost like 3-1. It was just, all of a sudden they weren't playing anymore. It was really a bummer. There's just been so much on. We watched the women's Final Four. We watched the men's Final Four. Basketball, we're not big basketball, but I'll sit down. If my husband is willing to sit down in the evening ever, I will watch whatever he wants to watch, because he just never sits and watches TV. He's always moving. He's always doing something. He's either in the office doing bills or organizing or vacuuming or cleaning or doing laundry or in the garage. I mean, he's just doesn't like to sit. And I'm the exact opposite, right? I don't like to get up. So anyway, then he, about 4:30, 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon, I had been in my workout clothes all day and still hadn't worked out. I was knitting. And I said, do you want to go for a walk with me and the dog? And he knew that I would probably just shower if he didn't say yes. So he's like, I've already exercised, picked up dog waste in the whole backyard today. I've been outside with the dog, and now you want me to go for a walk. But he manages the dog better than I do with the on leash. With my bad shoulder, I've really been struggling. So he walked me and the dog. Let's put it that way. And we'll do the same today. I have a photo shoot later, and then when I get home, we'll go for a little walk again, because it actually got to be decent. It's windy here, but it's like 54 degrees, so the walking is much better than it was. We had snow and sleet and rain on Thursday. Oh, it was just crummy. I have finished objects. I have a new pattern coming out, so let me show you. This is my new design. This is the Christina Cowl, and it comes in different lengths. It is to coordinate with the thing you've seen 100 times, the Christina hats. It is a ribbed hat with pearl beads, and I have sold a ton of those patterns and the kits through Christina of Chelsea Yarns. It's DK weight, and you can get it done in one skein, about 230 yards of DK. And I just didn't want to do a tube in the round, but I really wanted to make a cowl. So this is the shorter one, and that one has a longer I-cord so that you can tie a bow. Then you can make a shorter I-cord where you just tie a knot, and at the bottom of the I-cord is a little pearl bead. So when you're knitting in this I'll untie this. When you're knitting in this last section here, you're just doing a yarn over knit two together on the bead rows, and then you just run the I-cord up and down. Super easy. And then you can cinch it up as tight as you want. You can cinch it up really tight or not tight at all. One of my testers put it on her daughters, and it was darling. These little girls had this cute little, you can wear it right in the front, you could wear it off to the side, you could put it over on your shoulder because it would stay there, and you can decide how long you want your cowl to be, and you just cast on a repeat of 20. There is a video tutorial for placing beads. I use the super floss method. It's super easy, anybody can do it. You just have to purchase beads. There are links in the pattern for the beads, so if you haven't made the hat and so you don't know that, but there are links to Michael's and Joann's. You can get a little package of the beads for about $3. They don't cost much at all. They're 8mm beads, but you can put any beads on them that you want. I made myself this hat, which I had shown before, but then I had leftover yarn, so I ordered another skein, and I made another. So I made myself an orange cowl as well, so that I could have a matching coordinating set for this one to put on when I go out in the winter to walk. So yeah, that will be coming out this week. We're having the photo shoot today. I had to wait because I have another pattern coming out at the end of the month, so I want my model and my photographer to be together at one time, and I'll just tell you this whole thing now. I designed the Legacy Park shawl for the Minnesota Shop Pop 2022, and it was at Lakeside, B at Lakeside Yarn Store, and BE is Bridget and Elizabeth, who bought the yarn store, and it used to be called Lakeside Yarn, so it's now B at Lakeside. And I designed a crescent shawl using 2 skeins of sport weight, and the sport weight was from Speckled Finch. And so the pattern went live on Thursday at their event. They give it away for free, and then they had 4 colorways dyed up. So if you're on Instagram, you can go to my Instagram or to Be at Lakeside, and you can see the shawl in all its glory. That I cannot pick those shawls up until 4 o'clock today when the shop hop ends to take them and get new pictures taken, because I will rework the pattern to be a checklist pattern. When they're giving it away for free, it is just as few pages as possible, right? Because they're printing it and handing it out to people. But in 2 weeks, the pattern reverts back to me, and then I will put it up for sale on Ravelry. So I have a couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks here, to revamp it, make it into a checklist form, add my pictures. So I have Joanna, who also modeled the hat in the previous pictures, doing the cowl today, and then also doing the shawl. So the shawl is reminiscent. It has a little flower stitch rows, and then some mountains because of the state park theme of the whole entire shop hop. So every shop, all 12 shops, had a different state park that they chose, and their Lakeside chose Eagle Mountain, which is in the National Forest. And so we did the preview picture. I'll put it in, is a field of flowers and then a mountain in the background. And so there was a flower colorway that is really bright. It's pink and purples, and it's little tiny bits of green, and that's what I knit mine out of. And then there were two colorways that were gray, green, gray, blue, and then there was one colorway that was kind of just the most neutral you could get. It's kind of a honey beige color with just tiny little light speckles in it. And the shop hop runs Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you have 4 days to go to 12 shops. You get your passport stamped. I've talked about this in the past, but you get passport stamped, and at the end of the time, if you turn in a full passport, you're in for a drawing, for a prize drawing. And then they do drawings at every store, and you get a free pattern and a little sticker if you buy your folder. So it costs $50 to go on the shop hop, but all the money goes to local food shelves. And you used to be able to donate food, but they don't do that anymore because it was such a hassle to haul your canned food in and then for them to haul it away. So you can just choose to pay $5 at any of the stores that you want to go to. You do not have to complete the whole shop hop, and you can just kind of half participate. So there are lots of options for people, but anyone can go in and just see the yarn and the patterns that are, and each shop has its own custom colorways. So mostly each shop will have 1 or 2 colorways depending on what they're doing with their pattern. And then it's a lot of accessories, right? Because people mostly want to buy one skein. And so you see a lot of cowls and hats. But Lakeside wanted me to design a shawl, and so we chose to use sport weight. It works up a little more quickly. It takes 2 skeins of sport weight, and you can see it made up in the gray and the blue, which Stacy knit, my lovely fast sample knitter, Stacy knits, and then the one that I knit, which was the pink and green. When we got the prototype colors, we wanted them to pump them up a little bit. They were a little more muted, and so, but we needed to knit the shawls up. So then when they did their order, they asked the speckled finch yarn dyer if she could boost the color a little bit. So I will say that the colors are a little brighter than what the actual shawl shows. She just pumped them up a little bit, which I liked even more. So then I went ahead and got 2 more skeins and recast on the shawl. They'll keep the one shawl for a while in the shop, and the yarn was all gone. On Friday, when we finished shop hopping, it was about 3:30 in the afternoon, and I had already stopped in there on Thursday just to see how things were going, because when you design for brand new shop owners who are doing the shop hop for the first time, you want them to sell the yarn, right? It was all about selling yarn. I kept saying to them, the pattern doesn't matter. It just needs to show off the yarn. They sold out on Friday afternoon, and I'm sure people were frustrated that they didn't have any more yarn left. They were taking pre-orders, so you could pay and get it pre-ordered, and the yarn dyer, they knew up front that that was a possibility, so the yarn dyers start dyeing immediately and shipping that out. The custom colorways would not be available. The 2 of the colorways were custom, so those will never be available, but the other 2 would through Speckled Finch. And so if you are not local, I shouldn't say this. I really should ask them. Okay, I'll ask them. I will find out and edit that in. So I came walking in on Friday afternoon, and I looked at Elizabeth, who was standing in the middle of the room, and the shop was quite busy, and she just yelled, and she's like, "It's gone, Cori! It's the designer! It's the designer!" She was yelling, and I was just like, "What?" And they were so thrilled. They bought more yarn than some of the other stores, and it's really hard to know how much to order. You are putting money out, right? And you have to sell that. And I will say that we were at a couple of shops during the shop hop where they were selling old shop hop colorways still. So you don't want to be stuck with yarn. I know people get frustrated, but I could not have been more pleased. I teared up a little. They teared up a little. Their husbands were there because their husbands couldn't believe it. And then the husband said, "You need to get a picture. Don't you want pictures with her?" So then we went back and took pictures in front of their big display boxes that they had on table. And I'll show you the before and after. Like, they had, I don't even know. I never asked how many skeins they bought. I'm going to say they bought 200 or 300 skeins maybe. I never asked that. And then at the end, they kept one of each colorway to display so that they could take pre-orders, so people could see the swatches, see the skeins, and then they could take pre-orders for people. February is a really stressful month for me because I was really trying hard to work their vision into the pattern, and I kept saying, "You guys should just write this yourself," and they just were in no position that they felt like they wanted to do that. And so I just wanted the design to sing. The shawl is pretty. I thought it was pretty, but those patterns can often be kind of throwaway patterns. It's just there to show people what the yarn looks up knitted as, and then you can buy however much you want and make whatever you want with it. So the fact that they sold out. So they just got back to me, and they are offering shipping to anyone, likely $8, but they'll check when they ship. So if you are super interested in one of those colorways, call right away, be at Lakeside, and let them know that you would like skeins of that yarn on the pre-order. This isn't going to go up for sure on Monday because my graphic designer needs the pictures to put in the pattern, and we're taking the pictures today, and she's gone through tonight on a trip. She had to go somewhere for the weekend, so she won't be back till tomorrow. So she said, I cannot promise that I can get your cowl pattern back to you on Monday. So I said, okay, I will put the podcast up, whatever I can, and then just know that the cowl pattern is coming as soon as it's ready. Just always go put your email in on my newsletter list. If you have not gone to my website and put your email in, just become a subscriber. The only time I send out a newsletter is pretty much if I'm given a coupon code of some kind, or if I really need to let you know something. So then you would know the day it came out, and you would get a coupon code. It's always nice if you buy them full price. I'm just going to say that because I got to make my money back on, photography, models, tech editing, graphic illustration, layout. So anyway, $6 patterns you got to sell a lot of them to break even. Anyway, so I've got that shawl pattern scheduled to come out on the 25th of April, and then the cowl should come out, one of the few days this week, one day this week. I will probably wait to put the podcast up on Tuesday just in case it comes out. Then that way I'll edit in a little thing that it's ready if it's ready. But if you don't see a little screen or whatever right in this section somewhere where it says that the cowl pattern is ready, then just watch for it. It'll be there. I just like to kind of coordinate everything with the podcast since I was showing you all of the stuff. And then on the next podcast, I will show the shawls, talk about them, and then I am going to have a knit along. So in the month of May, I am going to do a knit along, which will include Zoom meetings. So we will talk and chat and converse and knit together. And I'm hoping that people will knit the Legacy Park shawl. That's my goal, is that we get people to knit that. But you can knit any iRock Knits designs during the knit along. So if you have been sitting on a pattern of mine that you've been saying, oh, I was always going to knit that. Let's say you want to get this one. I'm going to do a kind of a pay paid format, I haven't quite worked it out yet, happen is I will set up dates. I think I'm going to do it on Tuesdays in May. I may do it on a Saturday. I'm just really busy on the weekends in May. We have Shepherd's Harvest. Then my husband has fishing opener. My daughter's going to be graduating from law school. We always go away and we're going to try to take my parents up to the lake. They're struggling. My mom got food poisoning Friday, so she was really sick. She had to go to the ER and get fluids. And she kind of knew. She said I was eating shrimp and it just tasted off at the time. So I'm pretty sure that that's what it is. But she threw up all Friday night and into Friday morning. And then she called and I said, Mom, you just have to go to the ER. You need an IV. And then they called and she was feeling much better. And they gave her some Zofran. And so anyway, she's a little frail. So something like that just doesn't need to happen to Mom. It needs to happen to Ross, which is, I'm being funny, but he never gets sick and nothing bothers him. He could eat something bad and it wouldn't bother him, but Mom, not my mom. So we're going to try to take them to the lake for Memorial Day weekend. So it's kind of busy for me weekend wise. And I don't know. So my plan is to do 3 or so Zoom type meetings, or maybe a YouTube live. One of them will be on YouTube live. And then I'm going to charge maybe $10 to participate in those Zooms. And then I will have prizes at each of the meetings. So if you show up and you're knitting on something and we spend some time together, I just know that there are some of you who would like to talk to me. You have commented in the past that there are things that you would like, to ask me or say. And so I thought this might be, there's Code. He's doing okay so far. He doesn't seem to have any problem. He got groomed yesterday, so he looks so handsome. And his back legs are just atrophying something terrible. He's struggling, but he doesn't have any symptoms. He's eating, pooping, all peeing, all the things that you might watch for if your dog had cancer and was getting sick. So I also have that kind of going on a little bit. I'm teaching in Colorado in a couple weeks here. So all that to say, we are going to have I need a clever name for an I Rock Knits knit along. So we're going to have to come up with something. I Rock the Cowl or something. And everyone's welcome to participate and join. But I am going to do probably a 2-hour event, so you can come and go as you please, 3, 4, 5 times. I just haven't quite figured it out. Let me know in the comments if it's of interest to you. I'm going to get some prizes. I'm going to maybe get some gift certificates with some of that money that I collect. I just talking to my husband, I need to be paid for my time more than I ask. I always do everything for free, always. So he's like, if you're going to put that much time and energy into something, you need to, if you're going to provide help, I'll be there to help if you have a question about a pattern or whatever. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm pretty sure, starting in May. So get your yarn out, get your patterns, buy your patterns, look for yarns, whatever you need to do to kind of prepare yourself. And then because my podcast usually comes out on a Tuesday, Tuesdays are good for me. Sometimes I have an open Friday. I'm teaching library knitters on Wednesday. Oh my gosh, you guys, I taught 14, no, not quite 14 because a couple didn't show up, 12 new knitters at the library on Wednesday. You forget. Just think back to when you first learned to knit and you're learning in through the front door, run around the back, and you have to manhandle the needles and pick up the yarn and then tension it so you can pull it through, and their eyes are like this and they're like, oh, this is so hard. And then within about a half an hour they're knitting across the row, and they're slow and they're counting, but it's joyous to me. So I think I have 7 in the morning and 7 in the afternoon. That library had a limit. They don't anymore, but they had a limit because of COVID on how many people could be in a room together, and the number was 8, and so they only allowed 7 in the class. And now when I teach in May, that has been reduced. I usually take 8 in each class, and then we usually have a waiting list. So But so they learned to knit and purl, and then we're using size 8 16-inch circular needles, right? Well, when you just say that, they're just like, what are you talking about? Like, what does that mean, right? But we're knitting back and forth, right? We're just going over and back and over and back, over and back, over and back. So you get to the end, you switch hands, you just go, 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 and then you switch hands, right? So we're just learning, but we're going to knit a hat. We're going to cast on a hat, knit in the round. And so they don't have a concept of going back and forth. So 2 of my knitters joined in the round by accident. They took the yarn and went to the other end. So they have this long string in between, and they have no idea, because why would they? They've never done this before. They are uncertain. And so then I get a picture, a text message that says, I don't know what I did. And I'm like, it's okay. Just keep Just keep practicing. You can cut it. It won't hurt anything. But they're so nervous about what they're doing. And, I give them 2 phone-a-friends. I've talked about this before, where if everything falls off the needles and they cannot practice from Wednesday to Wednesday, because they don't know how to cast on yet, I cast on for them, then they need to be able to practice. I would rather have them call me and I will meet them in a parking lot somewhere and cast on some stitches, or look and see what happened if it all fell off or half of it fell off and they can't even get it back on, so that they can practice. That by this Wednesday, they will have had, at least 15 minutes of practice every day. But so I've gotten 4 or 5 emails and texts and saying, I don't know, is this right? I'm not sure what I'm doing. And I have to teach them the purl, because they got a rib, right? Like, you got a rib. And one lady in the first class says, do I have to purl? After I taught the purl, and I thought, you are going to fit right in with some of the knitting community, because there are lots of people who feel that way about the purl stitch. So I did teach. I'm teaching knitting on Wednesdays, so I sidetracked there again. But so my May is kind of busy, and but I would really like to just knit along before summer. So go get the Legacy Park shawl when it comes out. Find 2 skeins of sport weight yarn. However, I had 5 testers knitted in fingering, because not everybody has sport weight, and a lot of people have a ton of fingering in their stash, right? So I had testers knit in solid fingering. I had testers do the flower rows in another color and the bottom border in another color, so kind of striped, but pretty far apart, not like a all-in striped shawl. So fingering is definitely an option. I do not have information in the pattern about fingering. It just says sport, but the pictures on Ravelry when the pattern goes live from the testers will show those that use fingering. It's still going to take you 2 skeins. You're not going to get it in one skein of fingering up unless you completely leave the border off. It's just fingering weight shawls. A single skein of fingering weight would be just too small of a shawl. This one's nice and long, has long tails, easy to wear. So you can go and get that stuff already. I'm still watching A Place to Call Home, that Australian mini series. Is probably what they would have called it back in the day. It's fascinating. It's kind of dramatic, maybe not really soap opera-y, but like lots of things occurring to this family. So you follow one character down the road and you're just like, oh, and then the next thing you know, another character's got something going on, and it's, there's a character you just hate. I can't stand her. She's evil. She's trying to, win over the gentleman, and you just are like, oh, go away. You don't like her, and she's just terrible. And yeah, it's really good. We've been watching lots of other things, but that has been really interesting. And I don't know how many seasons there are, 6 or 7. I'm on 4, I think. I watch a couple, 2, 3 episodes each night. The episodes are pretty long too. It's not like a half an hour or 40-minute sitcom. It's longer than that. So that's what I've been watching. I have so much to show you in this next section, things I saw on the internet, but I could break it up and leave some for next time, but then I'll probably have a bigger section next time for this too. So first thing, saw this on Instagram, to share it. Look at this shawl, right? From a distance, you're like, okay, it's white and black. Oh my gosh, look at those sections. Is that not cool? It's got like all sections of like swatches or something in it. This pattern is coming out. This was reposted. So the designer is Florence Spurling. Florence's Purling Studio. But it reads Florence_Spurling_Studio. And she reposted one of her testers. This is Purlificknitter. And it was on Instagram. And she's a tester. So the pattern, well, I took this picture a week ago, so the pattern, should be out anytime. I thought it was so cool. I would do these all in like a rainbow. Oh, I just think that would be so awesome. Yeah, really interesting concept. Love it. I love when I see something super unique like that, so I try to share it with you guys. Then I saw this gal, Jackie Bean USA, and look at this. Is that not such an interesting motif on a hat? Wow, I love it. Like, how does your brain have to work? So this is Jackie Bean USA, Jacki. The pattern is called the Mindful Beanie. And I think it's probably just because you have to kind of pay attention when you're doing every other, and then you just do a little solid section. But once I think you got it set up, I thought it was so clever. And so then I went and looked at her Ravelry page because I wanted to, see it and put it in my queue or whatever. And I found this, which is even cuter, I think. Look at that. Those are little houses with little hearts coming out of the chimneys. Oh my gosh. So this is the Home Sweet Home cowl pattern, and it also comes out as a hat with the little houses and then the little hearts and snow coming down. And then she's giving donations to UNICEF for that particular pattern. So then I wanted to also show you that one because I thought, wow, that is darling. I will be casting that on for Christmas presents next year. So clever. Just like little cabins, little snow flakes. Yeah. Really cute. Now I need to talk about Etsy. Etsy's being a bit of a stinker. Etsy is raising their fees again. So of all the platforms that people sell on, Etsy has grown significantly in the last few years, and they got a new president a few years ago, and they just keep upping their fees. And so when you're selling little things like patterns, and they're taking 1%, 1.5%, 2%, 3%, 3.5%, like continually over time, it's just eating away. My patterns haven't gone up $6, $7, $8, $9, right? But it's true of everyone on Etsy. And then Etsy also takes the fee out of the shipping. So if I sell you a pattern for $6 and I have to ship it to you, which I don't, but if I had to ship it to you for $4, they're going to take your fee out of $10. Not $6. So some makers got together. They're not all knitting people, but you can go to Instagram. There's a page called Etsy Strike, and everybody was encouraging people to put their Etsy stores on vacation mode on the 11th through the 18th, or any of those days that they could afford. Because if you're living off that, you can afford to put it on vacation. And just support people, support telling Etsy in a way, this doesn't work for us. Etsy does not, if that's something that you care about at all, like the amount of money that a maker gets from somewhere. Sometimes you don't know that these things are happening, especially the shipping thing. That's the piece that, I don't ship, but that's the piece that irritated me the most. I was like, because I've sold pins and pens in the past and stuff, right? And then I have to pay to ship it, and then they're taking money out of that. So then it really is coming out of my pattern or my pen cost. Okay. So Etsy. So I was on Etsy. I was looking at things, and I found a yarn dyer that I'd never heard of that has the most brilliant colorway ever. Threads by Megan Nicole. Oh my lands. Go look. If you love bright colors like I love bright colors, this woman is knocking it out of the park. She has Amazing colorways. I'll put some photos in so that you can see what I'm talking about. Threads, all capital. I don't know if she is. I didn't look this morning, but okay. All that about Etsy. So there you go. And then a new pattern. I rarely buy other people's patterns. I don't have time to knit them. But this came up and I couldn't resist. Look at this darling sweater. Isn't it cute? Oh, I'll put a picture in. Look at this darling sweater. Isn't it cute? It's called Here Comes the Sun. It's by Handmade Closet, Olga Putano, and it's like daisies and the sun. I just thought it was so fun. I cannot wait to see it knit up in colorways, like really bright colorways. I just think, I looked on Ravelry and there were a few testers patterns out there. Oh, like this one. Lime green and hot pink. Oh my goodness. It's just so cute. Bright yellow. I will definitely be making that at some point. So you can go take a look at that. I have a little old project to revisit. So I'm going to share with you. I was cleaning out. I told you all I've been cleaning out, and went to the basement and we had a box of books just sitting on a thing, and I was like, what's in here? I don't know what this is. And I opened it up and I was like, oh my gosh. This used to sit in a leather basket upstairs. We have I had like a leather thing, decorative, and I had these books in it. But I found this, and I don't think I've ever shown this on the podcast. This is a journal book cover. So it came out of this book called Ready, Set, Knit Cables by Carrie Hammett. And Carrie Hammett used to own Lakeside Yarn before Cynthia, before Bridget and Elizabeth. So she designed this, and it was so fun to knit. And those are just ribbons that are running in and out of that. And I put it on an actual journal, blank journal, and I never wrote in it. I just used it as display. So I just have it in here. See, in a blank journal book, which now I will start using because I didn't realize. And for a while, and I've talked about this before, back in the day, I had brown and blue eyeglasses. They were brown and bright blue, and so I knit a lot of stuff in brown and blue for a while. When I first got colorful glasses, and that was very colorful in that day and age, to have anything that was kind of two-toned. So I'm sure that's why I knitted in this brown and blue. Or maybe I just found the ribbon. The ribbon has brown with little blue threads running through it. So I just wanted to share it. It's called Journal Cover with Ribbon Ties by Carrie Hammett. It is on Ravelry, but the link is to the book. And I went out and looked, and the book is available for like $6. So you can get all the cabled patterns there for the same price as you would get if you were going to buy just one pattern on Ravelry. They have used books. Amazon has new books, which are like $18. I used Rowan All Seasons Cotton 2 skeins at the time that I knitted up. But it is now upstairs instead of down in a box where I didn't know where it was. Getting organized. My birthday is coming up. April 19th is my birthday, so Tuesday. And on the 19th, I'm traveling to Colorado to teach. My husband is coming with me, and we're going out to Loveland. And I'm teaching on the 20th 2 classes, Fixer Upper and Ravelry. And there are still slots available if anybody is still interested in signing up. And then on Thursday, I'm doing a demo. And then we're coming back on Friday right away because of Cody. So I talked about that. But that just means I'm going to be gone kind of over my birthday. And I really am not going to have like a birthday dinner or celebration because we're going to be going out there, which is fine, right? Like, it's fine. I told my daughter I want cake when I come home. Like, no big deal, but I want a bundt cake from the Bundt place. Nothing but cakes if you haven't had them in your local. Whew, they're so good. I dream about those cakes. So I'm going to have a pattern sale. On my birthday, I am going to put I'm going to put all my patterns on sale for 50% off. And I will put that in the newsletter, and that will come out when the Cowl goes live this week so that people will see it and they will know. So set your calendar, write a reminder, set your alarm, whatever. So if you are a person who would normally know me in real life as a friend and send me a card, then you can just buy a pattern for half price, and it'll cost about the same as sending me a Hallmark greeting. And then I will just be filled up with all the love. So that's what I've decided to do. I will be 61, which is just shocking to me because I, honest to Pete, just turned 50. Like, that was just about a week ago that I was 50, and now I'm 61, so I don't know how that happened. I know my mom used to say, you'll always feel young in your head. And that is just so true, right? I just have no idea where the years went. The time passed. We did have the kids last weekend on Sunday night. Kylie and Stevie came with her college roommate. We wanted Macy, who lived here for 2 summers while she was in college because she worked up here, and she came and lived with us. So she knew Cody. Kylie wasn't here because Kylie was at church camp being a camp counselor meeting Stevie. But she lived here. So she was here every night. She ate with us quite often. And so she knows Cody, and we wanted her to see him, have a chance to see him. She lives here locally, but during COVID, we hadn't seen her. So we just said, would you want to come out? And she said yes. So they all came out on Sunday, and they were down on the floor with him for 3-4 hours and, talking and playing and petting and just giving him treats and loving on him. And he was just exhausted when they went home. It was really nice to have them here and have them see her. So, and she said she'd come out again soon and spend a little time with him. So that's always nice. He loves people. Like he would just stand next to you and have you pet him all day long. He wants to go in between your legs, which is really inappropriate, but he wants to go through your legs, which is hard if you're short, because he wants you to rub his hips. That's what he wants. He wants to get halfway through. And so instead of turning around and backing into you, it's really inappropriate. Really bothers people. But whatever. He's got cancer, so now he can do it, and I'm not going to say anything. Okay, I have a couple more things to share before we draw for the prizes from last time. I have a little inappropriate cartoon, and I don't know if any of you remember, but my last name was Schmidt. I was Schmitt growing up. So for 25 years, I was Schmidt, Cori Lynn Schmidt. And when we were growing up, there was this jingle, John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name's my name too. Whenever we go out, the people always shout, there goes John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. Da 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 da. I'm not a singer, but some of you will know. You'll recognize that song. Used to sing it and clap along, and then there were verses, and so sometimes you would sing it in rounds or something. I remember I grew up with that. So someone posted this on the internet, and it's got a naughty word in it, so I'll be careful. But so if you have little ones in the room, just know I'm going to read it, but I'll be careful just in case you have some little ones in your room. And it was my brother's birthdays in March. My brothers were on the 3rd and the 30th of March, and then I'm April 19th. So our birthdays kind of all run right together, and I saw this cartoon, and so I sent it to my brothers, and I was like, do you remember this song? And then my brother chimed in with the rest of the verse, so it was funny. So I'm going to show you this. It says, I'm John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, good sir, and you are? And he says, buddy, you ain't gonna effing believe this. Do you get it? His name is my name too. Whenever we go out, the people always shout, there goes John. They have the same name. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. So the guy says, buddy, you ain't gonna believe this. Because your name is my name too. If you know the song, it will make you laugh. I thought it was funny. I'm going to put it under my desk glass for a little bit so that it makes me laugh. I took video on the Shop Hop for all of you to enjoy. I do not do a great job. I'm using my phone, which means when I put it on the iPad to upload it to YouTube, you're going to get a narrower screen, which is not great, but I don't want to carry my iPad around to 12 knitting shops. I just wanted to see some of the fun. I tried to video projects that I liked, so I tried to take like a little video or a still picture of projects that I saw, samples in stores that I thought were fascinating or interesting or that I might want to go back to later. And then I thought I'd quickly show you what I bought. It's not a lot. I tried to be really thrifty, frugal, and not spend a lot of money. Oh boy, is that one blowing out. That is bright neon, not neon-y pink, but it's not going to look like the color that it is. Nope, that's too bright. Anyway, doesn't matter. This one is a hat at Stephen B. This yarn is from Yarn Snob. I'm going to put the picture of the hat in. This is a worsted weight, and every time you get to this section where the rainbow is, you make a little stitch. It looks kind of like a flower, I guess. I thought, oh my gosh, look at all those bright colors. Super fun. So I purchased that at Stephen B. And then at Darn It Anyway, they had these sock sets, which I have. All this right here is like rainbow self-striping sock yarn. It looks dark, but it's not. But this is by Echoes, Gusto Wool, and these were 20 bucks. And they had the best colorways in there. So several of us grabbed these up. It's fingering weight, 80, 20, 435 yards. I just thought, wow, that's kind of fun. I may knit that muscle burrow hat in it. I may knit the sockhead hat in it instead of doing socks. We'll see. But for $20, we could have all taken home that whole bin. There were lots of really pretty ones. And then also at Darn It Anyway, I got this La Vie Ennemie. It is the colorway Floral Morgan. It's cut off, something like that. It's a merino Aran. Weight, it's 182 yards, so it's kind of a Aran to chunky. And I want to do a sweater with this as the yoke, with some patterning at the yoke. So I've been watching for some bright contrast colors because I have some more muted sweater quantities. I just may end up making a hat out of it, but so that's all I bought. Oh, and I bought a little knitting. I bought a circular knitting needle, and then I also got 2 skeins of the sport weight yarn from Lakeside, but they just gave it to me because they're nice and they were very thankful that we sold all the yarn and that I met with them starting in October to get them ready for Shop Hop, and they had never been on a Shop Hop, and we spent many hours discussing, talking. How you need to decorate, how do you need to market, you guys need to be on Instagram more, I was just giving them as much feedback as I could to try to make their 4-day weekend really successful. So anyway, I have all this Shop Hop footage that I will just put in here. You can I'll kind of put it close to the end and you can decide if you want to watch all of it. Matt is in it a lot because he would hold the door. And he'd say, okay, Cori, get your camera, and then I would start video and we'd go so that the shop name would be there. Some of them, we didn't get the shop name. Some places have a big shop name over the door or on the window and not on the door, so it's kind of hard. You got to stand in the parking lot. And honest to Pete, the weather was so bad on Thursday. It blew snow sideways. It sleeted. It rained. It just blew with no precipitation. It was miserable. But our driver is a friend in my knitting group, Mary, and she was driving, and we were in St. Paul. And in St. Paul, Minnesota, is the cathedral, which is beautiful. It sits up on the hill. It's right kind of kitty corner from the state capitol, which is also beautiful. I'll put a picture in. And we're driving. We're going to exit to go to the yarnery, I think. That was our next stop. And she's like, have you been? And I was like, no, why would I have ever been in the cathedral? And she said, well, they do tours every day. And I said, oh, I had no idea. But she goes to church. She's Catholic, and she goes to church. She teaches at the Catholic school in town. And then she goes to church with a gal that was in the back seat. And she said to the other Mary, have you been? And Mary was like, no. And she's like, we're going in. And she took the exit, and we all kind of laughed. We're like, ha, 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 we're on the Shop Hop. And she's like pulling into the parking lot, and it is snowing sideways. And I'm like, you're serious? And she's like, if you have not seen the stained glass windows in the cathedral, it's a shame. You all need to go in. And so we all, Matt and Hilke and I and Mary and Jen, we all traipsed in there, and it was gorgeous. I had no idea you could go in any day. There were a few people in there praying, like 3 all spread. It's a giant cathedral. And then they have huge statues of the saints. And I felt like I was in Europe in a medieval church. It is stunning. If you live in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area and you've never been in, they have a greeter. There's a guy up at the front door. We went in on a side door because there was a parking lot. Of course, she's been there, and she takes all her kids on tours there because she teaches, and she's taught history in the past, and she's been a resource teacher, so she knew, like, she could give the tour, right? And we just went around, like, 10 minutes, right? We just looked. The stained glass windows are huge, round. It was incredible. I didn't know I needed to see it. So pretty. And so, we were talking about how you can go to church there, and she said occasionally that they have gone to church there. It was such a, churches can be, even if you're not a Christian, churches can be such a quiet place, a place of, just solace. You can get help, or they will take you in. And it was really a neat experience. I never would have thought that on the Shop Hop 2022 we would have gone in the cathedral, but I wanted to share that a little bit. The last thing I want to tell you is when we go on these excursions as a knitting group, we used to eat at a restaurant that was attached to a grocery store. And it was Byerly's, and then it had a restaurant. And we knit there for years. So if we were going to go on an excursion, we would park out in the grocery store, far out in the parking lot of the grocery store. We'd leave from there, we'd leave them for the day, and then we'd come back at the end of the day. Well, the restaurant has since closed, and they put in like a liquor store, but that parking lot is still a giant parking lot. So we park way out under the far light, and then we leave from there. So Kylie picked me up at the last store, and she and I went and got our nails done. And I hadn't seen her this week, and she's like, wants me to take her because then I pay. Just fine. I will pay the $35, $40, whatever, so we can sit together. We just chat for an hour while we get our nails done. And she just started getting her nails done this winter because she was having terrible hang nails. She was wearing Band-Aids on 3 fingers one time when I saw her, and I'm like, what's going on with your hands? Oh, Mom, hang nails and they're bleeding. And I was like, you have your mama's fingers. That's why your mama has nails. So we went, and she picked me up at the last shop and then drove me down. And we were sitting in there, and I get a call from Janet, who was riding with us that day, and she's like, Cori, I just want to let you know that they're building the garden center for the grocery store around your car. And I was like, oh, I'm getting my nails done. Do I need to leave and run out there? I mean, the nail place is in the same strip, but it's a long way. Like, it would have, the weather was better on Friday, but it would have taken me, 5 minutes to trek across the parking lot. And Kylie's like, I can drive you when we're done. I mean, whatever. And I said, will you ask them if they are, she said, no, we told them just a second. Then she's yelling to them, and they're like, it's not a problem. We'll just, and I said, I'll be done in less than in an hour or whatever. So I get done, and Kylie drives me over there, and literally they have stopped on either side of my car, the fence, and they're putting up the greenhouse and all the stuff. And my big giant truck is sitting. It was really funny. Really, I could have come back to my car being towed, is what I was thinking. Like, if they're going to tow it because they're mad. But she told them, we do this every year, and we've always parked here, and we never thought that you guys would be setting up the stuff. So I almost lost my car to the garden center at Byerly's in Chanhassen. Anyway, that's your Cori stories for today. I kind of intermingled them along the way. I have 2 winners for the rainbow skeins of yarn that I'm giving away. I put these in little baggies to keep them clean. But I had a lot of people go in and tell me what their favorite season is, so I used the random number generator. And number 12, who is Ruth Ann 21, that's Ruth Ann in Ohio, you get one of the rainbow skeins. And post number 19, Must Knit Faster 16. That is Joan in Maryland, and you get one of the rainbow skeins. Neither one of you put a preference on. You said you didn't care which one you got, so it's going to be a surprise which one comes in the mail. I'll just put them in envelopes and slap the labels on, and I'll get those out to you as soon as you send me your addresses. So either on Ravelry, Instagram, or in email, irocknits@gmail.com, you can send me your address. Please put your first and last name so that I can address it properly, and I will send that out to you. I am going to have some giveaways going forward. I've been gifted some stuff to pass along to all of you, and so I have a bag coming and another item. So during the knit along that I have, I'm going to have quite a few prizes. There will be yarn, project bag, pattern. There will be some things that will be given away during that knit along, just for participation. It won't be a finished object situation until later on. But so there you go, that you saw this on the internet, and we will be good to go. I have to end this because I'm going off to the photo shoot. I have to pick up the shawls at the yarn store that way at 4 o'clock, and then I have to drive that way by 4:30 to meet my model and my photographer. It is cloudy, which is fine, but it's windy, which is not. So Joanna's hair is going to be flying, so we're going to have to hide behind a building to try to get the cowls and the shawl pictures taken, and then get those patterns done. I hope everybody's doing okay. The world has opened up a little bit. I think numbers in hospitalizations are lower, and so people are feeling a little more safe. I don't know that we are ever going to be completely safe. I'm getting to that 3-month point of where my actual immunity is going to be less at, more at risk, because he said I probably have about 90 days from when I had COVID in January. So I'll have to be, well, I don't know that I'll be any more diligent. We wore masks into some of the shops because they required masks and other places did not. I did see a lot of people wearing masks on the shop hop, and I think that's probably where we're going to be at for the next little while. But hopefully you're all doing well. You're knitting along to me chattering away today. Yeah, things are good at my house, going, better. Husband's cooking more. That's always a good thing, right? He made breakfast this Sunday morning. We got home from church and he made breakfast, and he's getting good at scrambled eggs and bacon and sausage or whatever he chooses to make. Other than that, I don't think I have much more. We've got Cody sleeping on the floor here and husband in the garage. I can hear some music going. I'm going to take off and get to the shop early so that if nobody's in there, then I can leave and run to the park. We're going to Riley Park. It's a farm where we took the Christina Hat pictures. There's a couple outbuildings, white outbuildings there, and we're going to get those pictures taken this afternoon, finally, after I had to cancel last time. I think I told y'all that story. I had to cancel the photo shoot last time. So until next time, come in for your hug. I'm giving everybody big hugs. Just know that I think of you all as friends. I hope that you feel the same about me. And until next time, keep it colorful. Keep your fork. You'll never regret ripping back. Buy the gravy. Waddle on. Don't complain with your mouth full. Did I get them all? Bye. Love ya. Matt?
Oh, yeah, they do.
Look at Matt in his gorgeous sweater today.
All right.
And I haven't done any of those today.
Nope. I have the original. I have sausage in there.
Wake you up?
See that?
That's not how you do it?
No. It's not. Yeah. So it's one of Oh, knit with two strands held together. Oh, that one. Yeah. Back and stuff my card.